Before I start my video about the temple high on the mountains here in Koh Samui, got some bad news to tell you if you're planning on coming to Thailand. News has just come in that Thailand has suspended its Thailand Pass and test and go schemes due to the fears of Omicron variant of COVID-19. I'll read directly from the news I've just received. Thailand has suspended its Thailand Pass and test and go schemes due to fear of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Thailand's Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha has ordered that the immediate suspension of the new registration for Thailand Pass and at the same reinstated mandatory quarantine effective immediately. Thailand's Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha has ordered that the immediate suspension of the new registration for the Thailand Pass and at the same time reinstated mandatory quarantine effective immediately until at least January the 4th of 2022. After December 21st, there will be no new registrations for test and go. However, those who have already registered and are due to travel will still be able to enter the country, but they will be required to take a second RT-PCR test. So, from what I gather from that piece of news is that if you've already registered, you can come in. But if you haven't, then that's it. I mean, it's too late. You've missed the boat. Virtually, if you were planning on registering today to come next week, I'm afraid that you won't be allowed to come in without quarantine. That's as it stands now, but as I said many times before, you know, the rules do change here all the time. The Prime Minister says today might be different from what he says tomorrow, so just keep a check on it. But it is not good news for Thailand. It's very bad. I could see the difference in Koh Samui in the last few days since the rain stopped. The tourists coming out enjoying themselves. Many people driving around on motorbikes, bars with people in them not empty, all because they didn't have to do quarantine. And I think that's what will put a lot of people off if they've got to quarantine for, I would think, a minimum of 7 days. They haven't actually said how long the quarantine will be, but if it's for a minimum of 7 days, you have to pay for the hotel, for the food, and it's going to be quite an expensive exercise. And then perhaps, depending on the country you come from, you might have to quarantine again when you go back to your own country. So it makes a big difference, and it's very sad. Just when I thought that Thailand was picking itself up and that people were going to get some sort of life again here. And not for me, I'm not talking about me personally, I'm talking about these poor Thai people who are really doing it tough. And I could see that, they were starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. You could see them smiling more and getting more excited about the future. So sorry to be a bearer of bad news, but I'll continue on with my video about the temple. Jed here from Retiring Disgracefully. This morning I'm going to take the precarious drive up to the top of the highest mountain in Koh Samui to visit a temple. On the highest point of Koh Samui sits Wat Teepangkorn, or Pra Buddha Dipankara as it's also known. As the temple sits at some 635 metres above sea level, There's some sensational 360-degree views all over the island and across to Angthong National Park and other neighbouring islands. The views from here are amazing, and being at Samui's highest point has one of the best views on the island. So fasten your seatbelts because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Tell you what, the drive's not for the faint-hearted. A lot of sand on the road. Because of the storms, there's lots of potholes. They're not fixing up the small roads like this at the moment. They're concentrating on the main roads. So if you're going to come up here, it's not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. But I'm sure when we get to the top, it's going to be well worth the effort. Potholes, more like craters, some of them, they're about a foot deep. I wouldn't want to be driving up here in the dark, that's for sure. Probably going to do some damage to your motorbike. Oop. I did a Google search and found out that the Buddha Dipankara is considered to be the protector of seamen and sailors. And sometimes statues of Dipankara are found on the coastline to guide and protect ships on their route. So, being an ex-sailor, he's my kind of Buddha. Very steep hills, but I suppose they have to be steep if you're going to go to the highest point on the island to see a temple. Wow. If you're not an experienced driver, I would not recommend this. There are tours that bring you up here. If you're not confident on a motorbike, and even if you decided to bring a car, the roads aren't very wide and it's the same potholes. But I think this is all part of the experience of being here. If you're going to have motorways like the M1, then it takes all the fun out of it. For me, this is what I like about Thailand. I know it can be dangerous. I mean, you could fall off your motorbike, but it adds to the mystique of Thailand. I mean, look at that for a pothole. It's got to be about 2 foot deep. Can you imagine hitting that when it's dark? Do a lot of damage to yourself and to your bike. I mean, look at this. Look at the view over there. Beautiful. Most people think Koh Samui is just an island for beaches, but it's not. It's got some beautiful mountains and some lovely views from the top of them mountains. Whoa! I'll follow these. It looks like they know the road. Good. If you come into Samui, it's good to get off the beaten track. Just don't go where just only tourists go. It's an amazing place with lots of different views and outlooks if you're willing to get off the beaten track. I wouldn't have dared venture doing this a few weeks ago when when all this was wet after the floods. And look at that. How about that for a pothole? Imagine that in the dark hitting that. Yeah, in the floods, because this is all sand. sandy, and it's very slippery when wet. I hate driving on sandy roads because your wheels can just go from underneath you. You can be going straight and put your brakes on for a second and suddenly the bike goes from underneath you. Oh, it's getting worse. Oh, got a bit of road again, makes it a little bit easier. Bit of a cloudy day. I hope the view's going to be okay up here. Here we are. We're right at the highest point in Koh Samui. The temple's just down here. 1 minute away, Google Maps is telling me. And here it is. Well, look at this temple. Okay, so I'll park up here and we'll go and take a look around. So here we are at Pra Buddha Dipankara, which is right at the top, the highest point in Koh Samui. I've never been here before. I lived here for a couple of years, a few years back, and many places I missed, and this was one of them. It's well off the beaten track. That road is very, very hard to drive up. It's not for the faint-hearted. If you're a confident driver, it's worth it. I don't know if you'd get a car up here. You probably would, but the roads are very narrow and there's some big potholes. Safer, I think, it would be, if you're not that confident, would be to take a tour. I'm sure this tour is available now. I know that with Thailand being reopened and Samui's getting more busy, I'm sure the tour companies are starting to open up and taking people out on tours. So yes, it's a beautiful, it is an absolutely stunning temple, but very hard to get here. So let's go and have a look around. We'll go up there in a minute. Apparently that's the best place for 360-degree views. But here we've got many Buddhist gods, 6, 7-headed. No, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9-headed Buddha god. Don't know who any of these are. I like Buddhism, but I'm not well versed in it. If Noi was here with me, she'd probably tell me every one of them. This is a Indian Buddhist type statue, by the look of it. And then we've got another big Buddha there, and then a reclining Buddha. Shrine here for making merit and saying your prayers. That's King 5, I think. Looks like there was a roof on there at one time. Must have blown down. But look at the views over there. It's a bit misty. Shame it's not a sunny day, but we don't seem to be getting too many of them in Koh Samui at the moment. Yes, many Buddhist statues here. As I say, I don't know who any of them are. Sorry, you'll have to do your own research there. Looks like they're doing some excavation work and maybe building on another part of the temple here. Very big, but no one around. That's a young Buddha. Don't know which one that is. Maybe it could be Aikai, perhaps. Better take my shoes off here, sign of respect. I'm not sure if I have to, but I'll do it just in case. Don't want to offend anyone. Ah, but look at the view here. Shame it's so misty, because I think you'd see Koh Phangan from here if it wasn't for the the cloud and the mist. Another Buddha up there. It must be the highest Buddha in Koh Samui, that one. So we'll take a walk up here and have a look, see if we can see any better views. It's 360-degree views from the top. As usual, there's a dragon guarding the entrance. Fearsome looking thing. Looks like there's 3 levels. I won't stop here, there's probably a better view from the top level. It's the second level. There'll be a temple in there. Oh no, 4 levels. This is the 3rd level. And this is the top level now. Woo! A lot of steps. I've got this temple all to myself and there's not one other person here. Oh, look at the views. Look at that. There's the top of the dome, highest point in Koh Samui. It's a shame that many tourists don't get to see this type of temple with a view like this. Come all the way from the other side of the world and miss out on something like this. But as I said, it's not well documented. You know, it's not top of the list for temples in Koh Samui. That seems to be Big Buddha for tourists. And I don't see any Thai people here either, so probably too difficult to get here. But if you do, if you make the effort, look at these views. Sorry that it's a bit overcast, but there's not much I can do about that. Unfortunately, I've got to get out when I can. The weather isn't the best at Koh Samui at the moment. It's hit and miss, and if I don't do this today, maybe it'll rain tomorrow. But in the meantime, this will give you some idea of what it's like up here and the views you can get. Well worth the visit, very well worth the visit. Beautiful, very, very nice. But as I say, the drive up is not for the faint-hearted, and 2 on a motorbike, if you're thinking of bringing your other half, I would think it would be quite a difficult ride with a passenger on the back. It was bad enough with just me driving. So yeah, it's well worth the drive up if you're confident. If it's raining, I wouldn't, because it would be very slippery, and if there's potholes filled with water, you wouldn't know if you're just running over a puddle or if there's a foot of pothole underneath the water. So yeah, if you're going to come up, I would recommend, unless you're very confident, I would recommend that you take a tour, you know, perhaps on with a 4-wheel drive that will come up here. But it's quite sad that many tourists don't come up here. They come to Koh Samui and they tend to go to Big Buddha, and the more, I suppose, prettier temples, and with the you know, the impressive statues, but you don't get a view like this. And as I say, this is the highest point. You can see, you look over there, we're at the highest point in Koh Samui. And you got to hand it to the Thais. They know where to build a temple. Can you imagine the logistics of bringing everything up here? Because this has been here for a long time, long before there were four-wheel drives, I would think. They would have had to bring a lot of this up by horse and cart, and I don't know how they would have got everything up here. That building down there looks to be at least, what, 60, 70 years old, I think. They're old buildings, so we're talking, but I don't know. I'll do a Google search and find out when it was built if I can. And but you can imagine trying to get everything, all the things you need to build a temple up here with roads like I just came up. And probably back in those days it would have been a track, it wouldn't have been a paved road even. They would have had to get everything up here. I don't know, maybe using elephants and dragging things up, or horse and cart. I don't know how they would have done it, but it would have been a hard job, that's for sure. As you can see, I mean, that place over there, it's very old. It's not a new building that was built using modern day machinery and diggers and things like that. Probably most of this would have been dug by hand. So it just shows you the what the Thai people and what they think of their Buddha. They would have done all this for him, and it's a credit to them. The fields of our paths. So if you haven't already done so, please push the subscribe button. I promise it'll cost you nothing, and it'll help me a lot to get recognised here on YouTube. If you're thinking of retiring or living in Thailand, please take a look at my book, The Retire in Thailand Handbook, the first 6 months. It's crammed full of information to help you tiptoe over the logistics of making Thailand your home as uncomplicated and straightforward as possible. Please let me know in the comments box if there's anything you'd like me to take a video of here in Koh Samui, and I'll do my best to help you. So, until next time, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy watching these videos as much as I enjoy making them. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and stay safe. Cheers for now. Even when we're free, it's true. The difference is the same.